in our world, it's like a three-legged stool. You need to have a code, you need to have payment, and you need to have coverage. All those three things work together. Now, there may be a very significant event that occurs, or the evidence is something comes out that requires CMS to open up an NCD without an external request, or maybe we know of an external request that's coming, but we wanted to get the process started to move it along. And I think the best example and the most current example of that is monoclonal antibodies for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, which we are in the thick of right now, where CMS opened that decision, but we also were aware that several external requests were likely coming our way. Once we open up a national coverage determination, cost does not come into play on making a decision on whether something is covered, non-covered, or under what circumstances something might be covered. That is a long-standing policy for CMS, and we have never taken cost into account. Rather than issue a national no for that particular item or service, we thought the best way to do that was support evidence development to fill those evidentiary gaps. So it really says that it's reasonable and necessary in the context of a clinical study that answers one or more or all of the following questions. And so we didn't want that yes and no. We wanted something in the middle as well.
In the technology coding and pricing group, we have a couple different responsibilities on coding. And really what begins our analysis is the question of what is the appropriate HIPAA code set with which a particular product or service would best be described. Much of an analysis for coding for us is looking at it across the whole healthcare system, not just looking at it exclusively for Medicare. Though Medicare is certainly one of the largest payers, it's not. We're not the only payer, obviously. First of all, what's the likely setting of use for Medicare or other payers? And would it typically be an item or service that's bundled or separately paid? And then we go into questions about how distinct is it from something else that may be already in the market and has a code then that describes it. So our analysis is very much beginning from what's the setting of use, and from that then we assess whether again, is it typically bundled, is it typically paid separately, and goes into the questions then about distinction. I think we certainly understand that there's a lot of complexity here, and it seems like with every new piece of legislation, it's not getting easier, it's usually getting a little bit more intricate. In and of itself, a code does not indicate separate payment, but it's often viewed as getting a code provides payment, but it is not necessarily a one-to-one correlation in that respect. We really are interested, particularly for the non-drugs and non-biologicals, of knowing what other payers are interested in and what they are, especially if the product or the service has been established in the marketplace for a while.